Folks, welcome back. My name is Rudy. You're watching Alpha Investments. Today, more of a serious video, more of a whoa. First, we're going to go over this news headline. Then we're going to discuss some information on the public information, and then I'm going to give you guys some experience and my personal opinion based on working with Alliance Game Distributors for 13 years on kind of what I see happening here and just kind of some historical things that have happened to me, friends of mine with LGSs, regarding the relationship with Alliance and Diamond Comics. So first, the headline. It is now public information that Diamond Comics has filed for bankruptcy protection, which is a Chapter 11. Now remember, Chapter 7 is like a full liquidation with the courts. We're over, we quit, we're walking out, screw everybody. Chapter 11 is more of a reorg. Kind of, you get to that situation when, well, usually management blames market conditions, historically. Chapter 11 is a reorg. Usually this is caused, when a company tends to owe a lot of money, they're in too deep, the interest is pretty much crushing them and they can't get out from underneath it, if you want me to be honest about it. So it goes back to what we talked about in the last few videos on this channel regarding new card games, management, and everything. All of this stuff comes down to risk management. Everything. If you've been around this channel for a while, I've been on YouTube almost a decade, and we always talk about risk management. We always talk about leverage, or the term leverage, borrowing, going on margin, any of these fancy terms that make you think you're smart. All of these principles lie under the umbrella of weapons of mass financial destruction. Leverage will wipe you out. So, Diamond Comics has filed for Chapter 11, pretty much bankruptcy protection with the courts. They've also stated that they've already been in talks with Universal to buy out or spin off Alliance Game Distributors, the gaming division, which is the division I work with, and many thousands of you guys out there watch this channel, and many LGSs work with. Now, from what I gather, the parent company, Diamond Comics, or just Diamond, is in so much debt and been drowning for many, many years, and they just don't see a path out at this point. They owe so much money with creditors. I don't know if it's lines of credit, business lines of credit. I don't know if it's personal guarantees. Who knows on the exact terminology internally. But apparently they owe so much money, they are drowning and they don't see a path forward due to the market conditions and the deteriorating of the books, the manga, the whole graphic novels, the comic book world, all that. Well, I don't know much about comic books, so I'm going to be very blunt with you all. I know a lot about tabletop. I know a lot about board games. I know a lot about the cardboard world. At least, that's what I tell myself. A lot of you guys think I don't because I'm insane. All right, you got me. I'm new here. So, I'm not surprised. I have absolutely zero shock on the news headline today. I can't believe they made it this long. I'll be honest with you. I've worked with so many distributors and companies in the last 10, 15, 20 years. And I haven't worked with Diamond Comics because I don't really buy graphic novels and comic books through that. I mean, obviously you have like Diamond Comics, you have Magazine Exchange, also known as MagX. Then you have the big boy, kind of Alliance Game Distributors, okay, which are pretty much the monster warehouse setup for trading cards and board games and tabletop. Diamond Comics, which is the oldest part of the division, started with, selling, books and comics, right? From my personal experience in the last 10 to 15 years, the people at Alliance Game Distributors, and I still use them, so I'm not here to burn them to the ground or make fun of them, because in my experience, all the people, even the management, even the higher ups I've had to work larger deals with over the years, they're very nice people. The intentions are never really, malicious. They are not. Now, the biggest thing I've noticed compared to working with every other distributor in the United States is Alliance is the slowest to respond, has the worst pricing. Everybody knows that in the industry. It's not a secret. And they have the most levels of management, middle management, and email bureaucracy where you get tangled in things. And they don't have the mobility, they don't have the dexterity to move and kind of evolve quickly in changing market conditions. That kind of situation leads me to believe that people in that type of organization are going to have a difficult time as we move more and more into the future and the markets move faster and faster and get more and more complicated. So I don't have exact information, but from a little birdie, and I emailed myself in the bathroom this morning, apparently the company has just been bleeding and racking up debt. And comic book releases and graphic novel releases across the board have been less and less profitable. Doesn't mean they're selling less and less, but the company is claiming it's less and less profitable. There's a difference between profitability and how much of the volume of product is moving. Now, I can go into all kinds of shit. I can say, number one, well, in the last 5 to 10 years, everyone I know in the comic book world refuses to buy anything new because 90% of new comic books and graphic novels released by large corporations have some sort of political, religious, or woke, or crazy agenda. I get messages like that all the time. And because of that, many people don't buy them anymore. They've alienated a segment of their customer base. Now, I don't know about you, but you kind of want all your customers to buy from you. You don't want to cater to one segment, and you don't want to alienate the other segment. It doesn't really matter how you and I feel, but good businesses, you should have products for everybody. Now, I don't know anything about the comic book world. I don't know about the graphic novel world. All I can tell you is what I read and what the messages that you guys send me. And I'm sure after the video, I'll get all kinds of tips and updates, and maybe we'll do another video. Who knows? I don't have a lot of interest in comics. I don't really know how much validity and truth there is in certain segments and why people love it, why people think it's dying. It doesn't really affect me. I just want to make this video because I think it's kind of a big deal that one of the big boys has to file a bankruptcy protection to reorg and apparently sell off Alliance Game Distributors. They have to sell literally the giant division, the game division, which is the board game, tabletop, Magic, Pokemon, One Piece, all this stuff. Keep in mind, Alliance Game Distributors also a few years ago just moved into a bigger, flashier warehouse. So from what I gather, they're selling all this division off to Universal to raise a lot of money and raise capital, which I believe are going to be used as leverage to help the courts and help the creditors and use that as leverage to negotiate the amount of money they owe. Now, I don't know how much money they owe. Maybe it's in the court filing, or maybe they'll eventually be in the court filing. But if I had to take a guess, to get to this level on a company of that scale, the amount of debt they have is probably nauseating. And they didn't accumulate this debt overnight. Usually, debt at this level in a decision, because remember, if you have a big company, and I know we joke on this channel with memes and all kind of giggities and stepsister jokes and everything, but when you're at a big company level, and you know, and the higher-ups know, once you publish, once you file that bankruptcy, Chapter 7 liquidation, Chapter 11 reorg, doesn't matter. You file any of that shit. That's public information, and you bet your ass within an hour and a half, it's going to be viral on every website and news headline. And it goes back to what I say all the time. I tell you all, on new card games, on companies, on distributors, it's all the people who run the product. Rudy, how do you decide why? Now, in the past, you always say Alliance is your least used distributor. It is. It is. I don't even know if I spend. I don't even think I spend $1 million. I don't even know. I don't even know if I spend $1 to $2 million a year with Alliance anymore. It's been. I don't even know if I've done, at least since pre-COVID. I've shifted literally The big blocks of 10 million, 15 million, 20 million in spend rate that I do goes elsewhere. And honestly, it's because that I trust the other ones more. They respond. I can communicate. Literally, if there's more actual open negotiation, there's open communication, and it's easier to do business. There's less bureaucracy. There's less levels of middle management. And, if my business in the Rudy Empire does 20 to 30 million a year, let's just make up a number, 25 million, let's make an even number. I'm going to give Alliance 1 to 2 million max, probably less than $1 million, because they're difficult. And honestly, I don't think they really deserve a lot more. They haven't earned it. They're difficult. There's nothing positive about it. When I know you have in the card world, you've got these other distributors, the Peach States, the GTSs, the Southern. I guess Magex is still part of the Alliance, it's somewhere in there. But a lot of these other distributors, they're really good people. And the more you get to know them, the more you work with them. They are good people. So when I see all this going on, it's a friendly reminder to everybody. Number one, if you're working on building a business or your own LGS or your own bookstore, comic store, graphic novel, whatever you're into, or a hybrid of everything. Maybe you have a nice bar cafe at night and you've got graphic novels, comics, and you got tabletop space. Maybe you do all kinds of shit, for fun. Good reminder, you have to work with multiple distributors because you never really know what's going on behind the scenes. And this is one of those moments to remind everybody that if you have bad management and you bleed money, you don't run a tight ship, and you focus on the wrong things in life, your business will fail. You can get away with it a long time. That's why they call it zombie companies. That's why I tell you guys in the other video, literally we just published a few days ago, it is important for markets to crash. It's important for businesses to fail, because if you have constant bailouts and everything's perfect every day, you have bad management and bad companies that stay around. And we call them zombie companies on Wall Street. A company that's never turned a profit or has been bleeding money for years, and they just exist. They're a zombie company. They're like this because they're literally living on lines of credit in negative cash flow, and they're just borrowing. They just kind of it's like a slow burn. And it's a terrible thing. And it always comes back to management, folks. That's why I always talk about, I judge a lot of card games based on management's decision, because they're the ones guiding the ship that gives us the idea of what the future is going to be. If you have management, I guess I don't want to go into details because some of it's private and I don't want to kind of rock the boat too much, but I want to end the video with this. I had multiple situations back in 2022 and 2023 with Alliance, because this is when the market was in free fall for Magic the Gathering and even some of the new Pokemon, but mostly Magic the Gathering. Remember when Scarlet Violet came out? But let's just focus on Magic because that's the big boy, right? I had multiple moments and situations where, Magic products were coming out and they were collapsing. Okay, stores couldn't pay for them. I tried to take other stores' allocations and help them out, which you're not allowed to do, and it's not legal, and it's a very no-no thing, which you really can't do nowadays. But back in the day, you would try to help, because versus a company who can't pay their bills and they just go bankrupt. There was a lot of things that happened in the past. And I remember a couple circumstances where I had to go up the chain of command with Alliance, up to their middle management, to some pretty high ups at the top of the food chain of this company. And I remember through these tough and difficult times how disconnected Alliance game distributors were. Like, you could talk to any other distributor, and if you're in this industry, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm being very careful with my word choices. But there were multiple times I had some calls with some pretty, let's say, second, third, fourth in command at Alliance, way up there, way above the sales reps, the managers, the middle. And I remember talking to them like, hey, this product just came out. It's collapsing. Stores aren't going to be able to take this allocation. The pre-orders, you're charging stores $250. Let's just make up a number that doesn't make sense. And it's already at $190, $180. And store cost is $250. And these stores can't move this product. And I remember communicating and having some serious calls like, hey, you're going to be stuck with, could be millions of dollars or a million or millions of this inventory that's going to collapse. Can I work with you? Can you give me a 10-20% discount? So instead of charging stores $250, charge me $175 to $200 so I can help get this off the books. I can move that. I can try to make some moves. And I remember specifically the next moment blew my mind on this product. I don't want to give the name, or I don't want to be specific. And this higher up stopped the phone call. And he said to me, he's, well, Rudy, why don't you explain to me what's going on? I don't really understand what's happening right now. Why are you even having this phone call with me? And what's wrong with the Magic the Gathering market? I don't see any problems. And that was one of the most pivotal moments I've ever had on a phone call with a distributor in my life, because it told me, above the sales reps, above the manager of the sales reps, the people at this level, they had no fucking clue. They had no clue. And it was a very sad, confusing moment a couple years ago when this happened. And again, if you're in this industry, you know what 2022 was like in Magic. You know. And I remember taking a minute or two to explain or try to say, hey, the market's turning. You've noticed LGSs are pulling all their pre-orders back for Magic boxes and collector boxes because these products are coming out and they're tanking because the company's overprinting them. And there's a lot of turbulence right now. And I remember the guy on the phone said, from Alliance, said, well, I haven't heard anything about this. Everything seems to be doing, great. And I was like, sir, with all due respect, I've never talked to you before. It's concerning to me that you don't know about, I feel like I'm talking to a wall because you have no idea what I'm talking about. And I feel like you're literally just thinking I'm crazy. You're not listening to anything I'm saying. So to end the video, I don't want to go too detailed because it can be identifiable. I will end the video on this. 17 months later, I went back and they wanted to get him off the books, and Alliance needed some capital. And over a couple month period, I spent around $1 million with them buying the items that I had warned them about 2 years prior in their cash, buying them at massive, massive discounts. And they wanted them off, and they were concerned and desperate. And that was one of the ways I was able to accumulate and get what you see in the background of some videos today of some of the largest collector box positions there are. Because, well, it was such a deep discount. I decided to deploy a ton of money with them over a many month period. And the total, I believe, was over $1 million. And it was on the items I had warned them about that I tried to actually buy from them at a higher price at release before even I knew how bad things were going to get. And I always look back at this story, and I always look back at how it unfolded 18 months later, which was the end of 2023. And I always think I always thought it was a weird personal thing that I never really shared, because I always thought it didn't mean much. I always thought it was a strange thing. But it always stuck with me, and it always reminded me that these corporations and these, not even distributors, just companies around the world are ran so poorly. And there are so many companies with managers, middle, upper levels, and they're so disconnected because they don't have a passion. They don't care. They're just there to collect their paycheck. They were hired by, Sally in accounting. They come in, they do their thing, and oh yeah, we got a escalated phone call here of Mr. Rudy on the phone. Billy, we talked to them, and the guy's name is Timmy, and he wants to talk to you about something. And so literally, no joke, no fucking joke. Ready? There were moments I felt like I was in some movie, some big, short, stupid movie, where I was sitting down with someone, or I was on a phone call, and I'm trying to say things, and I could, like, they were almost laughing, like, is this guy serious? Like, is this Timmy guy serious? Like, and this was 2022. Which I guess I should be thankful, because that disconnected, poor understanding of what was happening in that moment led me to buying tons of their inventory 18 months later almost for pennies on the dollar. I wouldn't say pennies, but 35 to 45, maybe 48 to 50 cents on the dollar at most. And if you're talking a magic box, if it's $200, I mean, now you're talking magic boxes at 100 or less. And there are things that have happened. And I thought, well, I guess after all the years have gone by, maybe this is a good time to share that story. I don't know if anyone cares. I still like alliances. All the people I've talked to, all the regular salespeople, and they turn over people, and people always quit. They're still very nice people. I haven't really had any problems per se, but it was definitely an eye-opener for myself being in this industry and building the Rudy Alpha Investments empire. It made me realize kind of, I don't want to say the competition, because the competition is more like, I guess, other sellers, I guess you could say. It made me realize just how bad a lot of people at management levels, and how unqualified a lot of people are at their jobs. And it also allows greater opportunity for people who are obsessed with this world like me. So people who have a passion, obsession to go as far as they can and to see what they can build, it gives me a lot of freedom in the sandbox to build an empire. Because on the backs of a distributor who doesn't know what they're doing, it allows me to move in and just wipe out tons of product at crazy prices because they don't have a clue what's going on. They don't understand why the product's not even selling. And you talk to a higher up, and they literally tell you on the phone, well, what seems to be the problem today, Mr. Rudy, on this glorious day? Well, sir, the following blah, 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 and blah, blah. Oh, well, why do you feel that way? And how do you think that's true, Rudy? No joke. It felt like the fucking movie, like The Big Short. And the guy's sitting there telling them about mortgages or default swaps and different derivatives. And the bank's laughing and acting like you're an idiot. Yeah. That's my experience. So I will continue to use Alliance Game Distributors and my rep and people because they're great people, and the companies, I haven't had any problems, but it was an eye-opener of experience in business skills. And I don't know, maybe Universal, I guess, is supposed to buy them out now. So for most people like me, it's really not going to change. It's going to change the upper management, which none of us ever really talk to. They're like the ghosts at the top of the ivory tower. And that's my story. And good luck to you, Alliance. And Diamond Comics, whatever happened in your comics and books and graphics, I have no idea. I don't get involved with that. All I go by is what I hear on the internet. And good luck with that. And hopefully you get some smart people who actually make decisions for the long term. And they don't just make short-term decisions to hit their monthly, quarterly metrics for bonuses, and they nuke your company. Godspeed.